Hello everyone, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I hope all of you are doing good. This is the weekly market update live stream. And if you are new to my YouTube channel, please make sure to subscribe to it. Please make sure to like the live stream. Also, if you're not following me over Twitter, 𝗟𝘍𝗶𝗵𝘁𝘀, this is my Twitter handle. I occasionally post market updates and calls over my Twitter account also. So make sure that you are following this Twitter handle. And also, if you would like to receive more organized updates and calls, you can always join in the Discord server. The link you can find in the description of this video. In fact, all of the links you can find in the description of this video. So we are going to start with the market update part. If you guys have any questions, any chart requests, then please make sure to drop in the chat box. I would get back to you as soon as I'm done with the market update part. And first of all, let me go through some of the positions that we have open right now. I believe the only spot position that we have open is on LDO, and then the only leverage position that we have open right now is on Ethereum. So I'm basically going to go through the chart for ETH real quick. And by the way, I would be showing you the chart later on as well because I have to give a detailed update on ETH. So the entry for ETH is 4144, and then the DCA is somewhere around 3900, and the stop loss is 3700. So this is more of a swing trade. You can see that we had almost a 3%, 4% move after this entry was triggered 24 to 48 hours ago. We have not done anything with this call right now. We have not moved stop loss to break even, and we have not literally done anything with that. We are simply just waiting for the breakout. Uh, so first of all, let me explain to you that why exactly this rejection is happening on the chart for ETH. This rejection that we have, in fact, it's a very good thing. We have this descending trend line formation on the chart for ETH, so it's actually a good thing that price is getting rejected at this level. Let me try to adjust the audio a little bit. uh, just give me 1 second. I would have to adjust the audio. Okay, so I have adjusted the audio. Um, if you still have any issues, then everything seems to be working fine at my end. Yeah, people are saying that the audio is good. So I was saying that, you know, it's actually a very good thing that ETH had a rejection at this point. First of all, it's a small resistance level also. If you would go to the 4-hour time frame chart for ETH, and this is a lesson for all those people who were, getting into long positions on ETH, feeling this fear of missing out yesterday, getting into long positions. You should always wait for price to get back to you instead of going after the price. You should wait for price to retest the right levels. You should wait for price to, go down or go up to the right levels. And that is where you should be entering into a position instead of simply just chasing the price blindly. So in this situation, you can see that we have this descending trend line formation, not just on the 4-hour time frame chart. It's the same thing on the higher time frame chart also, on the daily time frame chart. And I'm actually happy. In fact, when this move happened yesterday, I was thinking that, how good would it be if price gets rejected somewhere around here, because this is a small 4-hour time frame resistance also, and then this trend line formation gets confirmed. So this is exactly what's happening right now. We have the first rejection at this trend line, then we have the second rejection at the trend line, and now we have this third rejection at the trend line also. And we already know that in order to confirm the formation of a trend line, you need to have at least three possible point of contact. So in this situation, you already have three possible points of contacts, and now this trend line formation is confirmed. This descending trend line formation is confirmed, and we already know that there is going to be, sooner or later, there is going to be a breakout above this trend line. Now we are in this long position. We have this leverage long position open. Once again, the entry is 4144, and I believe I did drop this position on my Twitter account also. So if you would go on my Twitter account and search for Ethereum's long position, you would find the whole setup, and you would find the complete reasoning also. The overall setup looks really good to me. you know we all know that this is a higher time frame support level for ETH right now. If you would ask me, about my trading strategy, then I would call myself mainly a support and resistance trader, meaning that my main focus is always toward support and resistance. So in this situation, and based on that confluence, based on this primary confluence, I have created a set of rules based on which I usually, take these trading setups. And the most important rule I would say in my trading strategy is that the first retest, it's always your single best opportunity to get into a long or a short position. And in this case, we have almost a textbook kind of setup. You have this resistance level, which started forming almost 2 years ago. You had the first rejection, second rejection, third rejection 2 years ago. Because if you would extend this line, and by the way, we are using the chart for BLOFIN, if you would draw this resistance level on the chart for Binance or any other exchange, you would notice that there were a few rejections at this level. So you have the first rejection, second rejection, third rejection on the daily time frame chart, even on the weekly time frame chart. So this resistance level, it was confirmed, and then there was this another rejection also. And if you guys remember, we had this long position which we opened at almost 3000 level. Then we exited this long position, and then we had the spot position also completely around the 3900 level, which was a good decision in my opinion. And then I had this another personal spot position which I opened as soon as price had a breakout above this resistance level, and then I exited that spot position completely around 4770 level. So, once again, I did this personal buying. I did announce this on my Twitter account also. I did, once again, did another personal buying around 4150 level. And I would be taking the first TP of this position around the 4750 level or around the 4800 level. And then we would simply just, take other partial TPs of this position also. But the point is that I have been seeing a lot many people complain about how ETH, maybe is going to go down to 3500, 3400. People have been talking about the outflows from these spot ETFs. People have been quoting some other bearish news as well. But all you need to do is you simply just need to focus on the charts, and you can see that this is a higher time frame support level for ETH. It took price almost 2 years or so, 2 3 years to reclaim this level completely. In fact, the last time price was trading around these levels, it was back in November 2021. So it's a big thing that price is already trading above this level. So please do not expect that it's going to be easy for bears to simply just push the price below the support level. There is going to be there are going to be significant buy orders placed around this level. There is going to be a significant amount of buying that would take place at this support level. It's not just a higher time frame support. If we're talking about 4 hour, it's a higher time frame support. We are talking about the daily time frame chart. We're talking about the 3 day time frame chart. We're talking about the weekly time frame chart. And also, I remember a few weeks ago, we were doing the live stream, and price at that time on the chart for ETH was trading around 3300, 3400. And I did show you guys this trend line on the monthly time frame chart for ETH. This is the trend line that I'm talking about. If we go to the monthly time frame chart for ETH, you can see that we are having this trend line breakout. And in fact, this trend line breakout has been confirmed. And if you would go on my Twitter account and search for this tweet, in which I did mention that if we have a monthly candle close above this level, above the 3500 level, above this trend line, then there are simply just going to be fireworks. And we had the monthly close above this level, and then price went from 3600, 3700 all the way up to at least 4700, 4800. Now, why exactly this pullback is happening? It's a very common thing. Okay, you guys need to understand that whenever price, let's first of all try to understand it from the perspective of buyers. Let's just let's just imagine that you bought ETH around 3000, or maybe around 2700, or maybe around 4000. It's very natural for you to do some profit taking uh, around the 4700, 4800 level. Let me give you an example about myself. Let me give you a personal example. I I opened a leverage position on ETH. I did the spot buying on ETH around the $3,000 level. And in fact, it did share the complete, buying on my Twitter account also, and in my Discord account as well. That this is the amount that I bought, uh, worth ETH around the $3,000 level. And then I exited both of these positions, the leverage position and the spot position, completely around 3900 level. And we saw, naturally speaking, we saw that, price had a pullback, price retraced from 3900 and then went all the way down to almost 3356. Same is the case, same is the situation here. I did my personal buying around, and I did not I did not buy ETH worth millions of dollars. My personal buying was only worth $300,000, $500,000. In this situation, it was worth $300,000. In the previous situation, it was worth around $700 to $800,000. And I exited both of these positions. The first position I exited completely at 3900 level, and the second position I exited completely at 4770 level. If you guys want, I can show you the screenshots also. In fact, someone did ask me to show the proof that I exited my position at 4770, which I opened at 41, around 4237, to be, to give you the exact number. The previous spot buying that I did on ETH was at 4235, and I exited that position completely at 4770. In fact, someone did ask for the screen recording, and I did send them the screen recording, in fact, in public also. So my point is that this pullback that you are seeing, this retracement that you are seeing, is not because people are trying to short ETH, or people are trying to simply just, you know, open big short positions, or it is the institutional selling taking place. It's very natural that if you bought ETH at, let's say, 2000, 3000, 4000, because the previous all-time high was at 4850 or somewhere around these levels. The previous all-time high was at 4893. So it's very natural for people to simply just exit their position. This is exactly what I did. I'm giving you my personal example that I exited both of my positions, and it was not a huge position, but it was a relatively big position in comparison to what most other retail traders would do. One position was worth 700, $800,000. The second one was worth around 300,000 to $400,000, and I exited that position completely at 4700. And I'm sure that if I made that decision, and mind you, you are listening to someone who has been trading these markets for the past 7 to 8 years, and if I did this approach, and if I you know sold Ethereum at 4770, I'm sure that most other traders who have been trading these markets for past few years, they would have done the same thing, because they would have realized that, okay, we are definitely going to get the opportunity to buy again at 4100 at the 4000 levels. And this is what exactly happened. Most people, they exited. This is just a speculation, right? But I am imagining that the most people, they exited their positions around 4770, and then as a result, it was definitely profit taking happening, and as a result, price retraced back down to 4100 $4000 levels. Now you need to understand that if price is going down, it's not just because people are entering short positions. I'm sure that people may have opened their short positions also, but at the same time, whenever we are in a strong uptrend, whenever price is moving in an uptrend, you have impulsive wave, you have a corrective wave, impulsive wave, corrective wave, and impulsive wave. Have you ever tried to ask yourself that why exactly these corrective waves happen, or why exactly these corrective waves are formed, why exactly these retracement waves are formed? Remember that whenever we are talking about an uptrend, okay, you have impulsive and corrective waves, impulsive or retracement waves, whatever you would like to call it. And impulsive waves, they're always greater in length. This is the most important part. The impulsive waves, they're always greater in length in comparison to the corrective waves, and the impulsive waves are towards upside. So why exactly these retracement waves are formed? If price is moving in an uptrend, why cannot just price continue to go towards upside without these retracement waves? Sometimes we see that these retracement waves, they are bigger ones, but always they are smaller in length in comparison to the impulsive waves. Sometimes we see that the retracement waves, they're very small in comparison to the previous retracement waves. Even though we are moving in an uptrend, and this is the definition of a trend, you would not really see any good chart on which price is simply just moving in an uptrend without giving any significant pullback. Okay, until and unless obviously you're talking about shit coins. So if we are talking about these coins, these big market cap coins, you would always see this formation of waves. Why exactly these retracement waves happen? It's very simple, because people who maybe opened their long position somewhere around here, maybe somewhere in the middle of this impulsive wave, they are taking profits of their long positions. So if you are wise enough, okay, if you are intelligent enough, then obviously you would not try to open a short position in an uptrend. So why exactly these retracement waves are happening? These retracement waves are happening. These retracement waves are formed just because people are taking profits off their long positions. Okay, this is how it works. Same is the case with the with the downside move as well. You have impulsive wave, corrective wave, impulsive wave, corrective wave. Once again, the impulsive waves, they are greater in length in comparison to corrective waves. The only difference is that in this situation, the impulsive waves, they're towards downside. Okay, and as a result, let's suppose you opened a short position somewhere around here, maybe somewhere in the middle of this impulsive wave. Why exactly these retracement waves are formed? Because people are exiting their short positions, and we know that whenever the short positions are being closed, buying takes place. Whenever the long positions are being closed, selling takes place, and as a result, these retracement waves or these corrective waves are formed. So, this statement that people or institutions or big players, they are opening short positions, they are building short positions, this is a new top for the market, this is not the right statement. People like me who play a very very small part in this whole situation, but they have like a good amount of capital, even they are making the decision to exit their positions at 4770. And if I am making this decision, and I would not call myself a pro, but I am still playing a small part in this whole story, and if I am intelligent enough to exit my position at 4770, I'm damn sure that people who have far more big capital, bigger capital in comparison to me, or who have access to information or other important tools and everything, definitely they would have made a similar kind of decision. They would have definitely exited their positions at 4770, and it's not a huge profit taking happening. Okay, it's always a good idea to take profits. I know that a few people in my Discord were actually asking me that, do you regret closing your position at 3900? No, absolutely no. Why would I regret closing my position at 3900? I openly admit that I bought Bitcoin around 46,000 $50,000 range. When it was trading in that range, I was constantly accumulating Bitcoin, and then I exited my spot position completely around 88 to 89,000. And I have never ever felt regret about it, even though Bitcoin went all the way up to 100,000, 110,000, 120,000, 123,000. Because I know that I'm someone who's not a long term investor. I'm not Michael Saylor who is investing into Bitcoin for the next 10 to 15 years. I'm simply just a very small player who is trading, level by level. And this is what I would recommend for you guys also. So instead of simply just holding on to Bitcoin for next 10 to 15 years, all you have to do is simply just draw an SR level, just draw a support and resistance level, buy at the support, sell at the resistance. And if, it's obviously not that easy. If the support level that you have drawn, or the support level that you did buying at, if price breaks below that support level, you have to accept that the idea got invalidated and you would have to exit that position. It's as simple as that. Obviously, I'm trying to make it extremely simple, or it may sound very simple. It's not as simple as it sounds. Obviously, there are few other confluences that you would have to take into account. And even in my trading strategy, I'm not just trading on the basis of support and resistance. Support, resistance, trend lines, chart patterns, exponential moving averages, volume weighted average price, sometimes order blocks, fair value gaps, sometimes ranges also. So there are a few other important things that you would have to take into account. But the point that I'm trying to make is that you have to keep things very simple. And let me tell you something. I was listening to this podcast of this very successful trader, and the guy is almost 60, 70 years old, and he, when he was very young and he was trying to become a successful trader, he was facing a lot of challenges at that time. He was, trying different strategies, and none of these things were working for him. And then he attended this seminar, and the guy who was speaking at that seminar, he was a really professional trader. And this young guy basically asked for the advice from this experienced trader, from this pro trader. And the advice that he gave him, in fact, it was a question that he asked from this young trader, that what is your most favorite confluence, or what is the confluence that you think is the best possible at the top of your list? And he answered RSI, relative strength index. Now, I am someone who has never really used RSI in my trading strategy, but the reason I'm telling you this story is that it makes sense, and it should be the same thing for all of you. And then this pro trader gave him the advice that if you wish to be successful, then read everything about relative strength index. You should read, you need to read every single book, you need to read every single article, you need to know every single thing about relative strength index, that how exactly relative strength index works, and you need not to apply any other thing on your chart. You simply just need to stick to relative strength index and trade based on that. So this is the advice for all of you. Okay, I know that we are deviating a little bit from the main topic, but whenever I see these beginners share their charts, they have 1,000 different indicators applied on their charts. They have different trend lines, different chart patterns, different SR levels drawn. I mean, the chart looks absolutely messy. Okay, the chart looks absolutely noisy. If you use the appropriate language, the chart looks absolutely noisy. So in this situation, all you have to do is just remove all of these indicators, just remove all of these lines, just remove all of these SR levels and everything, and just try to keep it very simple. And whenever I get asked this question, that where exactly this XYZ coin is headed towards, where exactly Bitcoin is headed towards, where do you see Bitcoin in the next 4 years, where do you see Ethereum in next 3 to 4 years? This is not exactly my concern. I literally bought Ethereum at 300 at $3,000 level. In fact, my first buying in ETH was at 2200 level. I sold all of it at 3000. Then the next buying I did was at 3000. Then I sold all of it at 3900. Then I did once again another buying at 4235, exited all of it at 4770, and then the next buying that I did was at 4150. Okay. And I absolutely did not regret selling any of the Ethereum that I bought along the way. I could have simply just bought at 2200 and I could have sold at 4800, and I could have made more profit than I made in this whole situation. But that's not how basically it works. You should be taking profits, and if it's good enough to take a screenshot, then it's good enough to take profits also. This is my advice to all of you. But anyways, I just wanted to give a detailed update on ETH, that if you are thinking that ETH price on the chart for ETH is easily going to break below the $4,000 level just because this XY institution sold $200 million of ETH or $300 million of ETH, these institutions, they have been doing a similar amount of buying also. Okay, so you need to understand that these institutions, and most of these institutions that are doing this buying, they are doing this buying on the behalf of their clients. Okay, so if you are associated with any of these institutions and you tell them that, okay, please buy $100 million worth of Ethereum for me, they would do this. And if you tell them that, okay, please sell $100 million worth of ETH for me at $47-70 level, they would do the same thing. And that is how you see these inflow and outflow patterns. You don't really have to be worried too much about this thing. But anyways, my entry for ETH at $4140 level is valid. Okay, I believe this is our entry point on the chart for ETH. 4140 entry is valid. If you wish, you can enter into this position. The chart is looking really good. We had this initial move from the $4,000 level, and I'm actually happy that the formation of this descending trend line has been confirmed. And I was actually waiting for that. I was praying for that just yesterday, that the price gets rejected at this region so that this trend line gets confirmed, so that price ultimately would break above this trend line and would have an impulsive break towards upside. So the targets are valid. The first target for this position, it's going to be around 4700, 4800. We'll see what happens. But right now the chart is looking good. And that's all I have to say about ETH. If you have any specific questions, you can let me know in the chat box. This is the only leverage position that I have open right now. And by the way, I'm actually happy that I did not open too many positions in this month. The market, I realize, has been a little bit choppy. We have been opening positions mainly on Bitcoin and some other higher market cap coins, not on mid market cap and low market cap coins, because the situation in that regard is not looking too good. I would be explaining to you that part later on. Now let's move on to the Bitcoin chart and let's see what's happening with Bitcoin. So with Bitcoin, we have our limits placed at 111.9k. The long limits I have placed at 111.9k. If I remember correctly, I did not share this position on my Twitter account. So if you would like to have access to more trading calls and more organized updates, you can always join in the Discord server. And in fact, 70 plus people are watching this live stream. Only 25 of you have liked it. So I would really appreciate if all of you are please able to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and please just like this live stream. And if you're not following me over Twitter, 𝗟𝘍𝗶𝗵𝗵, this is my Twitter handle. I occasionally share market updates and calls over my Twitter account also. And finally, if you would like to receive more organized updates and calls, you can always join in the Discord server. All of these links you can find in the description of this video. Yes, please smash the like button. So I was talking about Bitcoin. We have the limits placed at 111.9k. Now it's simply just a game of patience. You simply just have to wait for price to go back down to this level, 111.9k. Now, at the very start of this live stream, I did mention that the first retest, that is always your single best opportunity to take a long or a short position. And if you look at this level, and by the way, this is the previous all-time high also. It was a little bit unfortunate for us when we missed this long position, because it was almost a textbook kind of setup. Price had a break above this level. It was not just a higher time frame support level, but it was also the previous all-time high. I have mentioned this several times during my live streams that the previous all-time highs, they always act as strong support levels whenever price would break above these levels. Even if there is no established support at the previous all-time highs, price would always price would always react at those levels. Price would simply just, whenever price would break above the previous all-time highs, even if there is no established support, price would always go back down to these levels, and there is going to be a good buying opportunity at those levels. But unfortunately we missed that. I have explained in some of the previous live streams that how exactly we missed this opportunity. It was because USDT dominance did not give a perfect retest at 4.6 to 4.63% level. But anyways, we have our long limits placed at 111.9k. You simply just have to wait for price to trigger this long limit. On the 4-hour time frame chart, you can see that we are still moving in a sort of downtrend. You can see you have impulsive wave, smaller corrective wave, impulsive wave, corrective wave, impulsive wave, corrective wave, impulsive wave, corrective wave. Okay, so you have this, although I wouldn't really call it, a bearish formation, because on the 4-hour time frame chart, the structure is going to be slightly different. But maybe on the hourly time frame chart, you have these, this formation of lower lows and lower highs. And I believe that this limit, it's going to trigger sooner or later. So you simply just have to wait for price to go back down to this level, and I would explain to you why exactly. I was saying that in my trading strategy, I did mention that the first retest is always your single best opportunity to take a long or a short position. And in this case, you can see that the first retest has already happened. Okay, and now this is going to be the second retest. So why exactly are we taking this long position? First of all, I'm not ruling out the possibility of having a deeper retracement. There is every possible chance that we may have a deeper retracement also. And I would explain to you why exactly. It is because if you would draw the fib levels, and we all know that the fib levels, they can be used in this situation. Um, just give me a second. So my equipment always glitches at the most important times. I was saying that. Okay, so talking about this Bitcoin chart, I was saying that the first retest has already happened, and you know, even though we have the limits placed at this level, the reason is entirely different. In fact, just a few hours ago, I did share a complete detailed update explaining that why exactly we have the limits placed at this level, or why exactly I believe that price should be having a decent reaction at this level whenever it goes back down to retest this level. And please, pay attention to this. This is a very important thing. If you would apply the quarterly VWAP, and if you guys already have this indicator applied on your chart, you would already know the importance of this indicator. This is the quarterly yearly VWAP indicator. I call it MP VWAP, multi-period VWAP. It's slightly different from the traditional VWAP indicator, because unlike the traditional VWAP indicator, this VWAP, uh, it's not anchored to a specific date. It's not anchored to a specific period. Meaning, if you would apply the traditional yearly VWAP indicator, it's going to anchor itself from the start of the previous year to the next year. That's how it basically works. Or from the start of 1st of January 2025, and that is how you would have this dynamic line. But in this situation, this anchored VWAP that I'm using, I wouldn't really call it an anchored VWAP. I would like to call this a rolling VWAP. In this situation, it's not anchored to a specific date. It's not anchored to a specific day. It's simply just taking the average of price and volume for the past 365 days, or for the past 30 days, or for the past 7 days, or for the past number of days in one quarter. And that is why it's slightly different from the traditional VWAP indicator. I created this indicator. It's not something which is extremely unique, but if you guys would like to have access to it, it's free for all of you. It's very important. I would show you the importance for this. I would request all of you to please pay attention to this very carefully. If you guys would like to have access to this indicator, it's free for all of you. All you have to do is simply just click the link in the description of this video, join the Discord server, open a support ticket, and the support staff, they would share the script for this indicator with you. Now, this is going to be the first retest of this indicator. This is going to be the first retest of this dynamic line. Now, remember that the dynamic support and resistance level, these dynamic lines, they act in the very same manner as the traditional support and resistance level, meaning that all these rules can be applied to the dynamic levels also in the very same manner. Meaning the first retest of this dynamic line, it's going to be your single best opportunity to build a long or a short position. In this case, since price is trading above this level, so obviously it's going to be a good opportunity for a long position. Now it's time to show you guys the importance of this indicator. You can see that this is going to be the first retest, and price had a break above this level, and for the time being I would simply just turn off the yearly VWAP line. And you can see that price had a break above this level back on 22nd of April. And so this is going to be the first retest. Since 22nd of April, we have not seen any retest of this dynamic line. And by the way, you can trade using these dynamic lines not just in terms of retest but also in terms of breakout. Now, I did mention this, I guess, in the last live stream also, that during the past 1 year or so, the breakout trades, they have been slightly more favorable in comparison to the retest trades. I am mainly a retest trader, but for the past 1 year or so, I have been mainly trading the breakout trades because the breakout trades have been slightly more favorable in comparison to the retest trades. So, with these dynamic lines also, you don't just have to wait for the breakout. You can simply just trade, you don't just have to wait for the retest. You can also trade the breakout. So whenever the breakout happens, all you have to do is simply just build a long position, place your stop loss below this level, because if price breaks below the dynamic line, your idea is going to get invalidated, because you are assuming that price would be acting this price would be reacting at this level, price would be bouncing off at this level. So this was the last breakout back in the month of April, and you can see that this is how beautifully this indicator actually works. So we had a breakout above this level, and sorry for this noisy chart. I have tried my best to keep the chart a bit clean, but because we are on the daily time frame chart, so these levels, they're going to look like this. But the point that I'm trying to make is that you had the rejection at this dynamic line back on 13th of September 2024. Please pay attention to this once again very carefully. Rejection from 60,000, price went down to 57,000. Price had a break above this level. You could have simply just traded the breakout trade. You could have entered into the long position at 61,000. You could have easily caught this move up to 66,000. And if you guys remember, back on 17th of September, this move happened because we had the first rate cuts in 4 years. Okay, that was a big thing at that time. If you guys remember, everything was pumping. So we had a move from 60,000 up to 66,000. Then we had this first retest, and then it was successful retest. Second retest, it was another successful retest. Price went from 60,000 all the way up to 108,000. So 60,000 all the way up to 108,000. If you were just trading based on VWAP, all you had to do was simply just buy at the retest of quarterly VWAP on the daily time frame chart and sell whenever price starts breaking below this level. So even if you were not able to sell Bitcoin at 108,000, you could have successfully sold Bitcoin at 96,000, 97,000, buying at 60,000. So you can see how beautifully this actually works. The third retest of this level happened at 89,000 level back on 13th of January 2025. This is how beautifully this level works. And then another retest happened, and I remember doing the live stream at that time. If you guys have any confusion in this, you can go and watch the live stream from the start of this year. in which I was constantly pointing out that the second rule in my trading strategy when it comes to support and resistance is that whenever price is retesting a level over and over again, it's about to break above or below that level sooner or later. So in this situation, you can see that the first retest, big one, the second retest took us from 60,000 all the way up to 108,000. The third one took us from 89,000 up to 109,000. Not too big in comparison to the previous bounce that we saw at this level. And then this third bounce happened, which took price from 95,000 up to only 102,000, only a $7,000 jump. And then this another retest happened, which took us from 96,000 up to almost 100,000, just a $4,000 jump. And now price is slowly trying to break below this level. This is what's happening. You see that price is losing momentum here. The buyers who were buying at this level, and the same thing happens with support and resistance. Any concept that I explain to you, any statement that I say here, any statement that I'm making here, you guys can always stop me and ask me a question about this. Okay, this is, I actually take proud in this, that none of the concepts that I'm explaining have been the illogical ones. Every single concept that I would explain to you, if it's just an arbitrary statement, I would have proper facts to back up all of these things, even if it's deviation, even if it's price, even if it's first retest being the best possible opportunity, even if it's about price retesting a level over and over again and the momentum slowing down. So in this situation, what's happening is that, let's say, when the first retest happened, maybe there were 100 buyers who were interested in trading at that level. Then the next time when price came back down to retest this level, it's quite possible that people like me who only believe that the first, second retest are the successful one, the subsequent retest may not really be the successful ones. Obviously, out of those 100 buyers, there are only going to be maybe 60 buyers, 50 buyers. The third time price would go back down to retest that level. Obviously, the number of buyers, they are going to be less in comparison to the previous number, and that is how price would slowly start losing momentum. And in this situation, we are assuming that the total number of market participants are same. Let's just say that the total number of market participants would remain fixed at 100. So the number of buyers are decreasing. At the same time, obviously, the number of sellers would be increasing. So there would be more and more people who would start believing that because price is losing momentum, retesting this level over and over again, so sooner or later price is about to break below this level. And this is what exactly happened in this situation. We started having complete candle closes below this dynamic level. And once again, the same rule of traditional support and resistance would be applied here, that in order for you to be sure that price is already broken above or below a certain level, you need to look for consolidation. So consolidation is the only thing, not volume, not any other thing. I know that people who back volume analysis would say that, if in order to differentiate a breakout from a fake out, in order to differentiate a breakout from a deviation, you need to look at volume. But for me, it's deviation. Okay, deviation is consolidation. For me, consolidation is the most important thing. So in order to differentiate a breakout from a fake out, or in order to differentiate a breakout from a deviation, all you have to look for is consolidation. If price is broken above a certain resistance level, and if price continues to stay above that resistance level for a significant period, for next 4, 8, 12, 16 hours, then it basically tells you that the buyers, they were not just able to break the price above a certain resistance level, but they have also been able to keep the price sustained above that resistance level. And then there are a few other rules, meaning that there is no constant sell-off happening. It's not like price had a break above a certain level and then it simply just started making these downside candles, these bearish candles. No, this is not how it would work. You need to see some sort of bullish momentum whenever price breaks above a certain level. And in this situation, consolidation is the only tool which would help you differentiate a breakout from a fake out. So in this situation, you can see that price not only had a break below this level because the momentum was slowing down, but at the same time there were constant candle closes happening. And you can see how price was struggling to break above this one single line. Okay, it's nothing, it's simply just the average of price and volume for the past 365 days. And yes, it's different from the traditional VWAP indicator. If you would go to trading, if you would go on the indicators tab on trading view, and if you would apply the traditional yearly VWAP indicator, it's going to look a lot more different than this one, because that one is going to be anchored to a specific date, to the start of the year. which is quite different from this one because it's simply just rolling VWAP, taking into account the average of price and volume for the past 365 days. So in this situation, you can see that price was constantly struggling to break above this level. This was an easy short position for you. This was an easy short position for you. This was an easy short trigger for you. And you can see what happened next. After these constant struggles to break above this dynamic level, price had a move from 98,000 all the way down to 74,000. So this was an easy short position for you. Once again, a breakout happened. All you had to do was simply just wait for the breakout, wait for a few candle closes. This candle itself is a very good candle to give you an idea that, okay, this was a genuine breakout, and then you could have simply just took a long position at 93,000, place your stop loss slightly below this level, below 88,000, and then you could have simply just got this move from 93,000 all the way up to 123,000. So, this is going to be the first retest of this level, and I have showed you previously the examples of first retest. And this is why I'm so confident that even though this is going to be the second retest of the previous all-time high and the second retest of the higher time frame support, and the first retest is always the best opportunity, you cannot really be sure about the second retest. But because this is going to be the first retest of this dynamic line, which is yearly VWAP, quarterly VWAP on the daily time frame chart, that is why I'm confident that there is going to be a significant bounce at this level, and that this is what makes this trade really good in my opinion. Now, something that I mentioned when I started explaining this whole thing was that I still do not rule out the possibility of having a deeper retracement. It has not happened so far. In one situation, it did happen when we had a move all the way down to 74,000. If you would draw the fib level for these impulsive and corrective waves, you would notice that there was one instance at 74,000 when there was a deeper retracement. But in the previous situation, there was no deeper retracement. Price just remember that whenever the trend is strong, this is how the trend would look like. You have impulsive wave, you have corrective wave, impulsive wave, corrective wave, impulsive wave, corrective wave. This is how an uptrend is formed. So whenever the trend is strong, you would not really have deeper retracements, okay? And you can understand this from the perspective of buyers and sellers also. Whenever the trend is strong, there is not going to be a huge profit taking event. The profit taking event which happens and as a result price goes down, this is not going to be huge in comparison to these impulsive waves. So most likely remember that as a rule of thumb, in a strong uptrend, price most likely is going to bounce at 38.2 Fibonacci retracement level. Okay, 38% Fibonacci retracement level. That is where price is going to have a bounce at. And this is how exactly you draw the fib levels. Also, most people do not realize this, but you cannot draw the fib levels in a ranging market if you cannot identify the trend. I was teaching this to my students also, that in order to draw the fib retracement levels and to some extent to draw the order blocks also, you first of all need to be able to differentiate between an uptrend and a downtrend and a ranging market or a sideways market. And for that to do, you would have to draw the market structure, which is one of the most difficult things to do. So you first of all have to map the market structure, and then you have to draw the fib levels, and then you would be able to find out the main function of fib retracement levels. So if you draw the fib levels and price is constantly bouncing at 38.2% fib level, now you know that the retracements are not too deep, and as a result you would say that this trend is really strong. But whenever the trend is slowing down a little bit, not precisely making any reversal, but whenever the retracements are deep, for example, in this situation, if you would draw the fib level from the start of impulsive wave, end of impulsive wave, you notice that the retracements are happening down to 78% Fibonacci retracement level, or 61.8% fib level, or 65% fib level, or 74% fib level. Anything below 50% fib level, that is when you would know that, okay, I need to play a safe game here, okay, because the trend is slowing down a little bit, so maybe it's going to make some sort of reversal, and this is the first indication that maybe the trend is slowing down a little bit. So in the previous instances, we have seen that there has been literally no sign of slowdown of trend uh, on the current Bitcoin chart. But in this situation, if you would draw the fib level, now I'm not really sure if there is going to be any retracement, any pullback down to 61.8, 65% fib level or not. But in case this whole idea gets invalidated, we are talking about trading, so anything is possible. It's a game of probabilities, not a game of certainties. So even though it's going to be the first retest of the quarterly VWAP on the daily time frame chart, this is a previous all-time high. This is also a high time frame support level. Even with all of these confluences, you may expect that price, it is quite possible that price may simply just break below this level, because once again, it's a game of probabilities. Now, if you would draw the fib level from the start of impulsive wave to the end of impulsive wave, you would notice that 61.8% fib level, 65% fib level, 70.5% fib level. This is the main point of interest. This is the main zone of interest. And if price starts breaking below this level, if price starts losing the 112,000 level, then it's quite possible that you would have a move down to 61.8% fib level, 65% fib level, and do anything that you have to, but make sure that you are buying Bitcoin around this level, because this is going to be a big point of interest. This is going to be a big zone of interest. And the best part is that, this zone, it's also going to be aligned perfectly with the USDT dominance chart also, which takes us to the second most important thing, the role of USDT dominance in this whole story. So let's take a look at the USDT dominance chart and let's see what's happening with USDT dominance, okay? So if I show you the 4-hour time frame chart for USDT dominance, you would notice that we had this massive deviation above this resistance level, above the 4.42% resistance level on the USDT dominance chart. We have this ascending trend line also. The first retest of the first bounce at this trend line, the second one, the third one, and then finally we had a break below. Then price came back up, giving the bearish retest at this trend line, and then we are simply just having a move towards downside. And by the way, this constant rejection, this constant streak of rejections that you are seeing on the USDT dominance chart, it's mainly happening because of the quarterly VWAP on the daily time frame chart. So if I show you the USDT dominance chart, you can see that price has been constantly getting rejected at the quarterly VWAP on the daily time frame chart. The same thing which is happening with the Bitcoin chart also. So this indicator that I have given you, it's not just valid on one time frame. It's literally valid on every single time frame that you would like. It's valid on every single chart that you would like to take a look at. So you can see that the reason why USDT dominance has been struggling to break above, it's not because it's sitting at a resistance level or anything. It had a nice break above this trend line, and you can see that we had a break above the trend line, then we simply just had a move back down to this trend line, a bullish retest, and the bullish retest is turning out to be a successful one. A few more important things I would like to tell you. The first one is that, you know we have this inverse head and shoulder chart pattern on the USDT dominance chart. Now, if you would go and watch some of my previous live streams, especially the ones that we did in the month of May, towards the end of May, you would notice that I was constantly pointing out that there is this inverse head and shoulder chart pattern on the USDT dominance chart. And I was giving you guys the example of these so-called influencers who, without taking a look at Bitcoin, at that time Bitcoin was trading at 110,000. The previous all-time high was 112,000. They were saying that good luck shorting Bitcoin at 110,000. Okay, they were not paying attention to the fact that there is a very solid reversal pattern on the USDT dominance chart, and then there were a few other signs also. As a result, you can see that price had a break above this level, then came back down, retested the neckline, and then finally we had a move towards upside. A mini uptrend started on the USDT dominance chart, which ultimately sent Bitcoin from 110,000 all the way down to 98.2k. Okay, and then finally you had a rejection at this level, and then price simply just continued to move down. We had another downtrend, and then this downtrend is also making a reversal. You can see that we have this inverse head and shoulder chart pattern. Please do not take these patterns lightly. These patterns, they do work, and the higher time frame support for USDT dominance is present around here. The only conditions for these patterns to be valid are that these patterns, they need to be formed in an uptrend or in a downtrend, not while price is ranging, not while price is moving sideways. They would only be valid if they are formed at some higher time frame support and resistance level, and then price needs to break above or below a neckline. In this situation, all three conditions are being satisfied. It was formed at higher time frame support level, it was formed at the in a downtrend, and then finally price had a break above the neckline, came back up, retested the neckline, and then simply just price is continuing with this momentum. So even though USDT dominance, going back to this chart, even though USDT dominance had this small ascending trend line, even though it had this deviation which it created yesterday, even though it is failing to break above this level, even though this deviation retest is happening, you all know that the deviation retest is a very good opportunity for you to build a position. I've always said the same thing, but I still believe that USDT dominance, it's slowly making a reversal, and it's eventually going to go back up to at least 4.63% level. Okay, and this 4.63% level, if you guys remember the last live streams that we did, I missed the $112,000 long opportunity, because although Bitcoin was retesting the $112,000 level, it was the previous all-time high also. But at the same time, USDT dominance was not giving a perfect retest at the 4.63 resistance level. And in my personal opinion, at that time also, I was saying that sooner or later, price on the USDT dominance chart would go back up to this level. So that's what I'm saying, that even though, you know it's even though USDT dominance is sitting at the resistance level, okay, even though you have a nice deviation, even though price right now is sitting at 1 day quarterly VWAP, but I'm still expecting that there is going to be sooner or later, okay, sooner or later is the most important part. So, in case you have a question that if I believe that Bitcoin would ultimately go back down to 108,000, why do we have a long position limit placed at 112,000? Because it's quite possible that price would go back to this level, then would give a decent move, a bounce would happen from here, maybe from 112,000 all the way up to 116,000, and then price would return back to 108,000. But I still believe that USDT dominance has a move pending. It has this pending move. This was not the retest at resistance. This was not a complete retest. The first retest is still going to happen, and the first retest to 4.63% level. And mind you, both of these charts, although they're correlated with each other, they're not perfectly synchronized with each other. Okay, to give you an example for this, Bitcoin created the new all-time high at 73,000 back in March 2024. Same was the case with USDT dominance, which created a new low. This was a low for USDT dominance, right? And this low was also formed back in, sorry, this low. It was formed back in March 2024. Then in December 2024, Bitcoin went on to create a new all-time high, from 73,000 all the way up to 103,000, 108,000. But USDT dominance was not able to break below this level. Then Bitcoin created a new all-time high at 123,000. But you can see that USDT dominance is far from creating a new all-time low. In fact, it has not even reached this previous lows, previous low which was formed back in the month of December and back in the month of March. So the point that I'm trying to make is that even though the last time USDT dominance was at 4.6% level, Bitcoin was at 112,000. It's not like this time when it goes back up to 4.6% level, Bitcoin would still be at 112,000. No, it's not like that. It's quite possible that Bitcoin at this time around, it's going to be around, possibly around 108,000 to 107,000. Just to give you a quick approximation for this, if USDT dominance goes back up almost 5.4%, you can expect a 5.4% move downside on the Bitcoin chart. 5.4% move downside on Bitcoin chart, it's going to be a retest of, you can see how perfect this is, of 65%, 61.8% Fibonacci retracement level, meaning that 65%, 61.8% fib level retest, it's quite possible, and that is when USDT dominance would be retesting this higher time frame resistance, for which the first retest has not happened. And we know that the first retest is always your single best opportunity to take a long or a short position, and at that time you would most likely see Ethereum around 3,900 to $3,800 level. So 4,000 to 3,800, that is still a good support for ETH. If you are looking to get into ETH, then your focus should be towards 4,000 to $3,900 level. And this move, in my opinion, it will happen very soon. At least price on this chart, on the Bitcoin chart, is going to tag the $112,000 level very soon, because we still have the first retest of this quarterly VWAP on the daily time frame chart still pending. So this is the update about Bitcoin and USDT dominance. If you wish, you can ignore both of these charts and simply just focus on the stable.c.d chart. Very clean moves happening on stable.c.d chart. Price had a move break above this trend line, then came back at this resistance level. Small rejection happened. We did open a long position. We moved stop loss to break even, took first TP, then price had a break above this level. I was planning to open a short position, but I was a little busy at that time. It was back on Monday. Was not able to open that short position. when price on the Bitcoin chart was breaking below $116,000 level. You can see that price had a break above this level. It was a breakout of resistance. So on the Bitcoin chart, it was a breakout below the support. And now you can see that it retested this resistance once again at 7.8% level. So let's see what happens. If you wish, you can simply just try to look at the stable.c.d chart instead of focusing on any other chart. Okay, so this is how you would play the moves on stable.c.d chart. I do not really have anything much to update on altcoins, to be honest, because it's the same story with altcoins. I would quickly show you the others BTC chart. It's the same story. You can see that we still have this massive trend line formation on others BTC chart. Sooner or later, you are going to have a breakout above this trend line, and once we have a reclaim of this level, or once we have a reclaim of this level, this resistance level, that is when you would see that the altcoins are strong in comparison to Bitcoin. So even if Bitcoin would drop down in price, even if Bitcoin would remain stable just like it is right now, you would see that altcoins, they're performing good. And we have seen an example of this during the past few weeks, in which Bitcoin was trading in $117,000 to $118,000 range. But even then, most of the altcoins, they were going up a lot. And it was mainly because others BTC had a decent move from this support all the way up to this resistance. It's right now sitting at resistance. I would not recommend opening any long positions right now. I'm more than happy that we have opened very few positions in this month. Not exactly few, but our main focus has been on Bitcoin and Ethereum. I'm more than happy in this regard. I'm not interested in trading altcoins, because you see, opening short positions may not really be beneficial, because at the end of the day, market may have Ethereum is sitting at support, Bitcoin may have a nice bounce at $112,000, and your short positions, they are going to get messed up just in a matter of few minutes, just in a matter of few hours. So opening long positions is much more feasible in comparison to opening short positions in the current market. But to open long positions on these altcoins, you need to have some sort of strength in these altcoins, okay? And for that to happen, you need to mainly focus on others BTC chart. Once others BTC gives you a breakout above this resistance level, that is when you can be more confident that, okay, this is looking good. The breakout is happening on others BTC chart, because remember that others BTC is showing you the strength of others. Others is basically the index for mid market cap and low market cap coins. Strength of others in comparison to Bitcoin. Okay. And by the way, the very same way all of these charts work. If you're talking about the BTC USDT chart, it's showing you the strength of Bitcoin against USDT stablecoin. Okay. Or it's showing you, if the price on this chart would go up, then you would need more stablecoin, which is this one, to buy one Bitcoin. Okay. And that is how we say that Bitcoin is strong in comparison to this other currency, which is USDT in this situation. So that is how you look at every other chart. For example, if you're talking about others BTC, then others BTC is showing you the strength of others in comparison to Bitcoin. So if price on this index would go up, it would show that the mid market cap and low market cap coins, they're strong in comparison to Bitcoin. But if price on this index would go down, if let's suppose it is at resistance, then it would tell you that the mid market cap and low market cap coins, they're weak in comparison to Bitcoin. Now over to you guys. If you have any questions, please make sure to drop in the chat box. Uh, yeah, I would like to hear that podcast. What podcast are we talking about? That sounds complicated. I'm going back to slot machine. Yeah, it's just intelligent gambling at the end of the day. I like to call trading as intelligent gambling. And yeah, that's it. Can I add more to my ETH long at entry? No, I would not recommend adding more to your entry. If price visits 4144 level, I would suggest sticking to the DCA, and just treat it as any other position. But if you guys remember, I did mention that $4,000 breakout trade or the retest trade is going to be much better in comparison to $3,000 trade. So same is the situation here. This $4,000 retest trade is much better in comparison to the $3,000 breakout trade that we took. And mind you, we were able to successfully open a position from 3,000 to 3,900, then 4,100 to 4,770, almost 4,800. So please trust the process, and you don't really have to panic too much. It's a good position. It's trading above our entry point. It's a high conviction setup. Even if there is a pullback down to $3,800 level, we have a DC at that level. I'm confident that it's going to have a decent bounce. And with this confirmation of trend line, it's now looking really good. I'm happy that, it formed this trend line. Is ZK trade still valid? No, it's not valid. We closed that. The only long position that we had yesterday was the trade for ZK. Happy that we closed that trade break even. So what will be the new entry points for us now? Which setup are we talking about? How old is Sherlock? Perma Bear is asking why exactly your name is Perma Bear. LDO is looking good. I have said this several times that the two charts that look very similar to each other, one is LDO and the second one is Ethereum. Both of these charts had a breakout above the resistance level after quite a long period, and both of these charts they're still looking really good. So you simply just have to wait for the update. One spot position that we have open is LDO. The only leverage position that we have open is ETH, for which the stop loss has not been moved to break even. So ETH will go to 4,700 first or go back to 3,900. Now, no one really would have an answer to this question, Brian Armstrong. Um, you know, no one really would have an answer to this question. Trust me with this. Not even Eric Trump would have an answer to this question. We can only look at the levels. I cannot predict that it would go first to $4,700 or it would first go to 3,900. When can we have life-changing ETH trade? $3,000 trade was a life-changing trade. I was constantly, mentioning how much I am risking in that trade. I was constantly sharing screenshots with you guys, constantly sharing screen recordings with you guys, even on my Twitter also. I usually don't do that. I usually do not, share my trades publicly. But in that situation, I did do that. I did actually, share my trade publicly on my Twitter account also, showing the position size and everything. And yeah, that was, in my opinion, not exactly a life changing trade, but it was a good trade. Trump plays the market these days. Yeah, you can say that. Is there a word for when a coin moves too fast in value that the cable sticks break formation and have a blank space in between two candlesticks without overlapping wicks or bodies? What exactly are you talking about? Are you talking about, the gaps that we see or the fair value gap? Is this what you're talking about, the fair value gap? The most recent example for this is a chart for meme, I believe. On the 4-hour time frame chart, it has got these massive fair value gaps. This is how you draw the fair value gap, by the way. Is that what you are saying? Can we expect any signal today? So many short opportunities missed. I don't really think that we missed any short opportunity, to be honest. I am a little bit reluctant myself to open any short position. I'll be honest with you. I am a bit reluctant myself because I know that there is a decent chance that Bitcoin may have a bounce at this level, at $112,000 level. So, why open a short position right now when you are expecting the price to bounce at this level? So, yeah, I am a bit reluctant myself to open any short position. And by the way, 60 plus people once again are watching this live stream. I would request all of you to please like this live stream, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow me over Twitter, 𝗏𝗏𝗏. This is my Twitter handle. And if you would like to receive more organized updates and calls, you can always join in the Discord server. If you would like to have access to our quarterly VWAP indicator, you can join the Discord server and the script will be shared free with you guys. And if you are trading on BLOFIN, BLOFIN is the only exchange that we promote. BLOFIN is the only exchange that we endorse. And if you are trading regularly on BLOFIN, you can claim your free membership. All you have to do is just have a BLOFIN account, or just be trading regularly on BLOFIN, literally nothing else, or make a small deposit in your account on BLOFIN. I missed ETH entry. Can you give new entry point? It's the same entry point until and unless the stop loss has been moved to break even. The trade is always valid. Okay, so the trade is still valid, and 414 is the entry point on ETH, and if price goes back down to that level, you can still enter into that trade. My ZK average 0.6587 and it is still not at break even. Why exactly your average is at 65 cents? Sorry, 0.065. So 0.065 was your average. No, your average should have been around this level. And price did go back to our average entry point at least at two different occasions. So yeah, your average is a bit high, but it has this descending trend line. So let's see what happens. First, let Bitcoin hit the $112,000 level. What is your technique to identify market structure order blocks? Okay, it's not that easy. I wouldn't really be able to explain it in a few words or in a few sentences, but yeah, it's just a way that every other person would draw or map the market structure. You have to simply just identify the structure of waves. Okay, and then there are a few rules in terms of candle closes and everything. So just to give you a quick overview of how to identify or how to draw the market structure, you first of all have to look for an impulsive wave. Okay, and then you have to wait for the candle which creates a new high, and then you have to wait for the next candles that sweep the low of the candle which create the new high, okay, without creating a new high. Now I know this situation or this statement looks a little bit complicated, but you have to identify the impulsive wave, and then you have to wait for the candle which creates a new high, and then you have to wait for the next candles that sweep the low of the candle which created the new high without creating a new high. Okay, and that is how you identify the retracement wave. And then you simply just have to draw it like this. And then there are a few other rules in terms of break of structure, change of character, but obviously it just cannot be explained in one sentence. So if it's a downtrend, you have to identify an impulsive wave, and then you have to wait for the candle which creates a new low, the lowest low in this situation. Okay, uh, and then the next candles without creating a new low need to sweep the high of this candle, and this is what would become your retracement waves. A retracement is different from a pullback. Obviously, in the case of a pullback, the candles, even though they would move significantly towards upside, they would not sweep the high of the candle. Okay, they would not sweep the high of the candle which created the new low, and this is what differentiates a pullback from a retracement, and that is how you map the market structure. I mean, it's difficult, right? It's not that simple. I have been teaching mapping of market structure to my students. We recently started that module, and it's been 3 lectures already, and we are slowly trying to uh discuss everything related to market structure. And by the way, you guys can join my mentorship. There is a huge discount going on mentorship, almost a 50% discount. It's only for $650. Almost 50 plus videos. Our goal is to get to 300 plus videos that would be available to you. Live lectures every single week. Recordings for all of these lectures are available on website. You would be provided the logins and login details and everything. You can just log into your account anytime and have access to all those recordings for lifetime, access to resources, indicators, and everything. If you wish to join the mentorship, you can simply just join the Discord server, open up a support ticket, and this is just a one-time offer for all of you. We have a 50% discount going on mentorship. We usually have a very limited number of slots available every few months, and it's completely different in comparison to other mentorships that people offer in the market. And I'm not just joking. First of all, most of these other people who are offering these mentorships, they do not have a proven track record. You ask me and I would show you uh my stats from the exchange of your choice. You talk about Bybit, you talk about Binance, you talk about BLOFIN, you talk about Femix, you talk about Mexi also, you talk about BingX, you talk about any single exchange of your choice, and I would show you my live stats from that exchange for the past 30 days, for the past 6 months, for the past 1 year or so. I would show you my stats from every single exchange, and I bet you that 99.9% of these traders, they are not even profitable themselves. And secondly, these mentorships that most other traders are offering, it's only for 1 week, it's only usually for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, just a limited number of lectures. My goal, honestly, is to have a program in which everything related to trading is included. Can you even believe this thing that we are creating a whole guide on how to use TradingView, how to use this whole template, how to use all of these tools, how to use your profile, how to apply the indicators, how to use the replay function, how to use the Pine editor, how to use the strategy tester, how to create watch list. So we are working on things very basic to things extremely complicated, like sometimes market structures, harmonic patterns. I can show you guys the course outline also, but it's a very detailed course in which I'll be talking about every single thing related to trading. And the best part is that everything is being recorded, edited professionally, so you guys can always go back to these things. And the live lectures, they would continue for the rest of my lifetime. I enjoy teaching people, so I would just continue with the live lectures. You can always just attend the live lectures. You can always just watch these lectures, recaps and everything. We have a few successful students like Saltware, like Delta, like Wheelie also. I would like to mention like Ajmal, like few other traders who successfully completed the mentorship and now they are full-time analysts working in other communities. So if this is something that you guys are interested, I have never really said that this is the only way that you can be profitable, this is the only way that you can be successful. Even if I just talk about myself, I did not learn any of these things from anyone. My main focus was on just, just gain all of this knowledge without spending a single dollar. Okay, this was my main this was my main focus when I was learning all of these things. So if you are someone like me, you really need not to just join the mentorship, but if you are someone who would like to have access to all of these things at hand without getting through the hard work of finding all of these things yourself, you can always join the Discord server. Is there a lifetime fee subscription access on Discord? Yes, we do offer a lifetime mentorship also, and lifetime subscription also. In case you would like to join the Discord server, you can always check out our website 𝗨𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗏org, and you can find all of the details there. And for more details, you can join the Discord server. The harmonics don't work in these scalping markets. I mean, I'm not a big fan of harmonic patterns myself, but you cannot just trade harmonics if you do not have a proper knowledge of market structure, or because you see, if you know market structure, only then you would be able to draw the waves. If you are able to draw the waves, only then you would be able to draw the fib levels. If you are able to draw the fib levels and waves successfully, only then you would be able to spot the order blocks. And order blocks would only be valid if you have a correct understanding of fair value gaps, and if you have a good understanding of fib retracement levels. That is only going to be possible if you have a good understanding of market structure. Only then you would be able to draw the harmonic patterns, which are simply just a modification of Fibonacci retracement extension levels. So the point is that all of these things, they have a prerequisite, which in my opinion is market structure, which is very important, very basic, and extremely important. Is it possible to make 10% profit monthly with only your Discord trades? I mean, it really depends on you, how exactly you are following these trades. We have, like 10, 12 plus analysts. I have never ever recommended following all the analysts at the same time. It's going to be disastrous for you. Sometimes you would see that some of them are have a long trade open, some of them would have short trades open. I would always recommend, and people who are already from the Discord server, people who have already been a part of Discord server, they would say the same thing to you. Second Pratt is here. You can ask him even that you know it will always be a good idea for you to just follow 2 and 3 analysts at maximum, and always have at maximum 2 to 3 trades open at the same time. You need not to have 5 trades, 10 trades open at the same time, because if market makes a reversal, let's just say that I have one long position open, some other analyst also has one long position open, and then this third analyst also has got one long position open. Now if market makes a reversal, I would only be having one stop loss, and then the other analysts, they would also be having just one stop loss, and same is the case with the third one. All of these analysts, they are only going to have one stop loss, and let's just say that this is the only stop loss that they had in 1 month. So in 30-day period, it's only going to be one stop loss for each one of these analysts. But for you, it's going to be three stop losses. So instead of, and if you are following five analysts at the same time, then good luck with that. Good luck with having that portfolio. But the point that I'm trying to make is that you don't need to necessarily follow all of these analysts at the same time. The risk management, it would always remain a very important part. So yeah, second practice thing, I follow four analysts and have an average of 24.73% monthly return over 9 months. If I can do that, I did show you guys my stats also. In fact, I did post this and on my Twitter. This is a very rare thing from my side. I don't usually do that. But if you look at my futures PNL, and I can show you from any exchange of your choice, okay? You just name the exchange. Even from 𝗍𝒑𝒆 also. Even though I'm a big critic of 𝗍𝒑𝒆, but I have been trading on 𝗍𝒑𝒆 myself. I have a very small amount of portfolio over 𝗍𝒑𝒆 also. This line, it was flat in 2024 because I was not trading this account in 2024. At the start of 2025, I've managed to managed to get a return of almost 168.38% on my on my total portfolio, which I have in this account. So yeah, you can definitely do that. It's all about keeping it slow, because you see the main problem is that people who have $100 portfolio, they are trying to make $500. People who have a $500 portfolio, they are trying to make $5,000 per month. Okay, people who have $1,000 portfolio, and all of you would agree with this thing, people who have $1,000 portfolio, they are trying to make 10,000, 15,000, 5,000, 3,000. They do not understand that it is 3x, 4x return that they're expecting in just 1 month. Okay, so I'm always telling people that your problem is not risk management, or your problem is not emotions or anything like that. Your problem is the limitation of capital. So the moment you start understanding that, okay, $100 is my portfolio, and the best possible return that I can get on this $100 in 1 month, at maximum it should be no more than $10 to $15. That is 10% to 15% return. And mind you, these banks, they're giving you 4%, 5% return in 1 year. These big institutions, these big hedge funds, they're giving you 20%, 30%, sometimes 15 to 20% returns annually. Okay, and you're talking about having a 2x, 3x, 4x returns every single month, and these false expectations eventually end up liquidating our portfolios. So that is why I'm saying that if you have a realistic approach, okay, which should be on $100, no more than $10 to $15. I know that is small for you, but you cannot really do anything with that. Okay, if you would just continue to take risk, if you would just continue to try and make $200 on $100 portfolio, eventually you are going to get liquidated, because you need to realize that at the very core of it, it's simply just a game of probabilities. One trade could simply just take away all of these, the whole of your portfolio. So you are betting against the odds, and one day you are going to lose your portfolio if you are trying to make 2x, 3x returns in just 1 month. So I'll be honest with you, if you have $1,000 portfolio, you should be targeting no more than $100 to $150 per month. And only if you would do this thing, only if you would focus on this thing, then you would see the returns. Okay, then you would see the realistic returns. And there are going to be days when you would have a 5%, 3% return. And now, sometimes I'm very surprised on this, that people with $1 million portfolio, okay, they're more than happy to make 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, $30,000. Okay, they're more than happy to do that, which is not even 3%, which is not even 1% of their portfolios. They're more than happy to do that. Okay, but people with $100, they are not happy to make $10, which is 10% of their portfolio. So your problem is not any of this. Your problem is basically just a lack of capital. What you actually have to do is find a single trade and go 50x at 50% of your account with $100 portfolio, so you can make one game. I mean, yeah, this is just gambling. You can do that. And do not forget that we have compounding also. So you just keep on compounding 10% of your portfolio, and you would see this snowball effect, right? Just in a matter of few months. If I'm not wrong, Einstein himself said that uh, compounding interest is the eighth wonder of the world, or something like that. He did mention something like that. My yearly PNL was 192.47. You see? That's a good PNL. And mind you, this is not for 1 month. This return is for almost 8 to 9 months, for the past 7 to 8 months. Not for 1 year, because I was not trading in 2024 on this account. So even with all of these skills, even with all of this knowledge and everything, I was still able to gain no more than 168% return for the past 7 to 8 months on one of my portfolios. This is just one of my portfolios, by the way. You say to never use Mexi. How do you certain analysts like AR? I'm not responsible for other analysts, to be honest. It is their personal choice. I did not have a good experience with Mexi, KCEX, and weeks. I would not recommend trading on these exchanges, but once again, it's your personal choice. One day you guys are going to realize that having your portfolio or having your capital at a safe exchange, at a genuine exchange, should be biggest of your concerns. And the dilemma is that the worst part is that most of us pay the least amount of attention towards this thing. We are more concerned about opening positions, we are more concerned about stop losses, liquidations, and everything. And the least of our worries is choosing the right exchange. Okay. And I would say that BluffPin in this regard is a very, very good exchange. I personally had a few issues in terms of KYC and everything, and they literally have been looking into this. Okay. And I would recommend that their CEO, BluffPin CEO, you guys can also approach him. His name is Matt. I would show you the username for him. Uh, yeah, this is his username. You can see that Matt, he is the CEO of Bluffin. You can also connect with him, you can also DM him, you can also comment under one of his posts, and he would get back to you if there is any question regarding Bluffin. So I would say that Bluffin is a very good exchange. With most of these other exchanges, you do not even have the name of the CEO. Like Mexi, like some other exchanges, and we know that Mexi KCX, it's basically the same exchange. So yeah, I would most people amnesia have the complaint that Bluffin has a higher fee in comparison to other exchanges. I have discussed this thing so many times with them, and their approach or their counter argument is that unlike Mexi or other exchanges, we are not making money through listings. We know that Mexi has thousands of coins listed. Almost every single shit coin is listed on Mexi because they have an approach that, okay, give us 100K, $500,000, 300K, and we would list this coin for you. And they ask for almost 5 to 10% of token supply also for their team. So Bloffin's approach, it's entirely different. They have never ever listed a single coin by taking money from the team. They say that if we have enough liquidity, we would simply just list that coin, and the only way we make money in this business is through fee. Okay, and they have a right to do so. If they are providing you safety to your assets, if they are providing you, whatever feature that you are asking for, if they're providing you all the support that you don't really have any trust issues with them, then I don't really mind paying a few $1,000s in terms of fee. Even if I just talk about myself, I have never ever requested. I'm paying thousands of dollars in fee on most of these exchanges. Okay, as long as you're profitable, you wouldn't really worry about any of these things. And secondly, I have never really I don't even have the VIP level on Bluffin. I don't even have the VIP level on any of these other exchanges. Okay, because I'm not concerned about the fee part. As long as you are making profits, you would not really mind paying 0.07% in fee. And Mexi's low fee, that is a completely nonsense thing. I would not, once again, if you are someone who cares about their capital, if you are someone who has even just a little bit uh, okay, so yeah, I was saying that if you are someone who cares about their capital, I think you should not really be trading on Mexi. Okay. Okay, guys, that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream. I would have to go now. It's been almost 1 hour 24 minutes. And if you still have any questions, please feel free to join the Discord server. You will be provided all the support related to free subscription, related to these indicators, related to the mentorship, and everything that you have any question about. Okay, so please make sure that even if you do not want to join the premium subscription, I would recommend joining the Discord server at least, so that you are aware of all these offers and everything. Even you can claim the free membership, free 15-day premium membership, okay, which is worth almost $30 to $40. We will be giving it to you for free. Join the Discord server. The link you can find in the description of this video. Please like this live stream, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Request to all of you, and if you're not following me over Twitter, 𝗟R𝘁𝗲, this is my Twitter handle, and all of these links you can find in the description of this video. Thank you so much guys for joining. Take care and have a great week ahead. Thank you. Bye bye.